race thing because we're all part of the human race. Like, 100% fucking agree. And I saw somebody on Twitter from the atheist community. I won't necessarily say who, but they had basically kind of posted up and said that if Hitchens was still alive today, that he would be oh god, what exactly did they say? Like a gender denialist or something like that. That like they would that like he would basically be transphobic and that he would be like against people who were, identifying as they them, or like people who were non-gender specific or anything. So, and I'm just like, okay, so first off, just first off, you cannot possibly know that.
Yeah.
Secondly, why the fuck are you trying to like ruin the man, like to taint his legacy based on no fucking evidence? Like, how can you possibly know that he would be against this? He was ridiculously in favor of a same-sex marriage, of same-sex rights. He did a debate with Stephen Fry where he vigorously stood up for him. Yes, he turned very Republican towards the end of his life, but he was always very socially progressive. And I just don't. Why are you poisoning the well, man? Like, just like, why are you doing that? I just didn't get it at all. It was just super weird to me.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because
Dawkins come under fire recently for some trans comment or something.
Oh yes, Dawkins 100% did. Yeah, no, fuck him.
He has sadly said some really shit things. That and my hope is from that. It's funny because just to go back 1 second to the Hitchens thing, Stephen, you took the words out of my mouth. In that, if somebody said to me that this is how Hitch may have behaved, I would have referred him to that debate where he partnered with Stephen Fry, and said, now watch that and then tell me how you think he may have acted.
Yeah.
But to move forward to Richard Dawkins, I would say that my hope would be is that they can separate the actions of the man from his science. Because regardless of the shit things that he has said, and he has said shit things, and he deserves condemnation for those shit things that he said, that doesn't make his science any less valid. It just makes him a bad person.
Yeah.
And that would be my hope, is that they don't try to say, oh, because he said all these horrible things and he's a bad person because of this. And I would agree with that sentiment. Well, because of that obviously means that all the things he said about evolution must be wrong as well.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. So that would be my hope. But he has come under fire, and rightfully so, because the things he said were he hasn't, and I don't know whether he's walked any of them back. Because when I kind of heard it, I was very put off by the whole thing, and I was disappointed.
I'm gonna have to look it up because I don't even know what he did say.
Yeah, he came out with some pretty blatantly transphobic remarks.
Is that like recent? Like
pretty recent.
Fairly recent. Yeah, like in the last couple of weeks. He basically wrote. He made a tweet where he basically kind of said that like he was enjoying, or that like he had read and agreed with the work of Deborah Sow, which like she's been universally discredited, like she's not a part of like the scientific community anymore. Basically, like she basically kind of said that like the whole idea of like, your gender identity, like, it would be her opinion that you are a man who identifies as being female, that you're not actually female if you're trans, right? That's basically her like go-to argument, or that's her stance, her position, or
it's somehow some kind of choice. And
yes.
And it's hard. Like it impacted me because at Imagine No Religion 7 in Toronto a few years ago, I was at the same table having lunch with Richard Dawkins. And we had pleasant conversations, and to be kind of hit by that, I was like, fuck, like, and to go back to Christopher Hitchens for just a second, he's one of the people that within the movement that I didn't get a chance to meet. And I was saddened by that. But I don't like the idea of someone trying to, discredit his legacy and stuff like that. And I just look at some of the people, because there have been people who have been leaders within the atheist community that have done fucked up good. And they deserve be rebuked for it, and they deserve the condemnation that they receive. But again, the thing I would say about that is try to separate the science, because The Selfish Gene is no less a magnificent work, regardless of the things he said of recent.
Yeah. Like, and just to kind of piggyback on that, like, there was some things that you could have criticized Hitchens for. Like, he did a debate. It was one of the last ones that he did on politics, where he defended the Iraq War. There are things that you can criticize Hitchens on.
Oh, absolutely.
But you can't criticize him, and you can't celebrate him, because we don't know how he would have felt. But to assume that he would have been against it is just why would you do that? But
no, not only, but they're assuming, and then they're going on complaining about how bad it would have been.
Yes,
you have no idea how he would have been on the stands.
Yeah, I obviously haven't met Dawkins or anything else like that, but Dawkins was the first person that I was introduced to in the atheist community, right? So, like, as soon as I kind of, fell out of religion and I start looking at the other side, he was the first person that I watched and that I listened to, and that I watched him debate and everything else like that. And, from him, then I went on to Hitchens, and then I found like smaller YouTubers, and then I found the ACA and everything else like that. Mm-hmm. But he was the first. And so I kind of like, in a way, in my kind of like earlier YouTube career, I kind of credited Dawkins as the first step in going down the road to where I was talking about religion all the time. And then, like, just kind of waking up on that day where he tweeted that out and seeing that he was getting ratioed and that so many people were quote tweeting him and replying to it, and like then hearing like exactly what it was. Yeah, I was the exact same, Michael. I was just saddened. Yeah, I just felt disappointed and sad.
No, disappointed. That's perfect. And you almost have to, almost have to. I think what I did is the word I would choose is I mourned. That I was just kind of like, like that. I wish that hadn't happened. I wish he would have not said these things. I wish he would have been different, felt different, believed different. But we don't have any control over that, right? I mean, sometimes, and that was one of the reasons, oddly enough, Hitchens said he was doing another talk, and he said, I don't like meeting my fans. And when people kind of cocked their head, like, what do you mean you don't like meeting your fans? He said, because fan is just one syllable short of fanatic. And he said, I don't want people to be fanatic about me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was interesting. So he humbling himself in a way.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, could he have been? I mean, he wrote some interesting stuff. I've read everything he ever wrote that was ever published. Like, I'm not talking about his Slate articles and stuff like that, but every novel, like whether it be from his memoir Hitch 22 or Mortality, Why Orwell Matters, No One Left to Lie To, which is his criticism of the Clintons, his book on Mother Teresa, the name escapes me now. Which was just absolutely scathing and brilliant and beautiful.
Of course, God is not great.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Of course, God is not great. Yeah. So, but it, you can. I think it might be because he was so vocal, and some of the debates that he had, like with guys like William Lane Craig, where if you watch a Christian apologist review that debate, Craig slaughtered Hitchens. If you watch someone secular, Hitchens slaughtered Craig. And of course, I believe Hitchens did win that debate. But it seems that because he's gone now and has been for 10 years, it's almost like it's the low hanging fruit, right?
Yeah,
easy to go after. Let's drag this guy's name through the dirt, who can't stand up for himself and defend himself anymore, and say, yeah, actually, I don't believe that. And who's to say? And I think at the end of the day, I'm glad I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
if Dawkins never said anything, then we wouldn't think any lesser of him.
Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, as I kind of said before, like, I don't have any sort of a problem criticizing somebody based on the, beliefs or the opinions that they actually vocalize, but pretending to know how somebody would have thought about a situation or about like a movement that exists today when they died a decade ago, like how, like, the amount of like 4D chess that you have to play to be able to extrapolate, like how, like, yeah, like I don't know, I just don't. I'm more than comfortable criticizing somebody for what they actually believe, but pretending to know what somebody might have thought about something and then criticizing them for it. No, you're just sitting in a room facing the corner of the wall and just fucking ranting to yourself. That's literally the fucking equivalent of it.
It seems odd that they would pick him out too, because I mean, you could just pick anybody that's dead. Like, say that I think that Marilyn Monroe would have been really against trans people. It's like, how do you know?
He was one of the 4 horsemen of the atheist apocalypse, though. So I mean, he was he was a good one to aim for. But it would be the same as someone else, someone else from the atheist community, saying something like, I bet you Billy Graham would have been okay with child rape. I bet you he would have been really keen. I bet you he would have been really keen on that. How could you possibly know? And I doubt very seriously that would be the case anyway. I mean, so
not too many people that are behind that one, Michael.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's just like I had forgot. I was going to say something, and that's the points after escaping me. That's very sad. But it's
PS5 in the background.
It's just the whole thing. It's just the whole thing about my dad actually got one today. So there's 2 members of my family who have one. But it's like you can literally do that about anybody dead, and just pick a thing that they might not have agreed with.
Yeah.
You can say fucking FDR would have agreed with the war on drugs. Sure, why not? Just say it, because it's just you're just saying things and then pretending as if it's correct. Like,
Einstein would have hated pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
Oh, I do want pizza though. Yeah.
George Bush's dad, he would have loved pineapple on pizza. Like,
hey,
what? Like,
them's fighting words.
But it's just like. Just picking a person and then picking a position and then just shoving the two together. Like, you don't.
Yeah.